Good evening all, welcome back to my kitchen, and tonight we're going to be making chubby bunny cake, aka carrot cake. So this is one of my more favourite cakes. Jake loves it, I love it, and you might as well have it. Simple as that then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the ingredients out. We're going to see what we can do. So this is what you're going to need. You're going to need 2 large eggs, 2 bananas, some sunflower oil, some carrots, we'll sort that out when we get there, some sugar, baking powder, walnuts, and then it calls for self-raising, but I can make self-raising anyway because I've got plenty of plain flour to use. So what I'll do is I'll then move on to the next steps and we can go from there. First things first is we're going to get our bananas into a bowl. So I'm just going to get these peeled off camera. So it does ask for riper bananas, but these will do because they look like they're ripening quite quickly anyway, for being over our cooker, which is quite good. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get the potato masher. We're going to give them a good mash. So you can do it with a fork, you can even do it in a blender. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do that so it gives me a bit of an arm workout. What we're going to do is now we're going to give them a bit of a mash up and just get that blended all up together, which will be quite nice. Doesn't have to be massively blended, but as long as it's mushed a bit, then we're all good with this one. So what I'll do is I'll then jump to the next step, because then you know what mashed bananas look like. You can see it in the bowl there. And we can get on to grating our carrots then. Next thing we're going to do is top and tail our carrots, so let's get that out of the way. So there's one. Move them off the side a minute. That's 2. We might not eat all these carrots, but I'm just gonna go with it and just grate it all. So that's that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the grater and we can go from there. What we'll do is we'll get them carrots grated now. So you can do it either on the little one or you can do it on the big one. Just please be careful with this grater because it is bloody sharp and I have cut my finger on it and it's not very nice at all, so just be careful. And I'll just jump back to when we've got all 4 done. You can see roughly how much it is. We can go from there. Also forgot to point out as well, when you do end up getting down to the little bit, you can end up putting it on a fork. So rather than getting your fingers shredded, you can do it on the fork. So yeah, I know you'll get a little bit left, but that little bit left's rather better than shaving your fingers off. So I just thought I'd let you guys know. If I didn't tell you already, this should be equivalent to 100 grams of carrots. As I said, if there is a little bit more, then that's fine. It will just add as extra in the cake. So you should end up with something like this after you've grated. So let's get that back in and get that in the bowl. Sorry for the scraping noise there, guys. Let's get that in. Next thing we're going to add is the eggs. So let's get these out of the way. Also, this method that I'm going to be using is the all-in-one method. So there is a couple of different ways as to make the cake. So you can either do it wet ingredients and then dry ingredients, and then mix them together that way. Or you can do the all-in-one method like I'm doing now. Or if you've got butter in your cake, you can do the creaming method. This is where you cream the butter and the sugar together and you go down that way then. But just for this, I'm going to be doing it all together today. So that's the 2 eggs added in the bowl. Next thing you're going to need is 150 ml of sunflower oil. So let's get that in there. This will be acting as your fat in the cake rather than butter or margarine or anything like that. So let's get this poured into the bowl. That's that done. Next thing you're going to need is 150 grams of sugar. So I'm just using light granulated here because this is what we had in the cupboard. I mean, you can use muscovado, which is the sticky stuff. You can use brown sugar if you want a more kind of malty cake. You can use white sugar if you've only got that, but it doesn't really matter as long as you've got some kind of sugar in there. That should be fine. Let's get that in. Next, what we're going to need is 50 grams of walnuts. Let's get this open, if I can actually get it open. There we go. So it does call for chopped walnuts, but as I was in the supermarket the other day, they haven't got any. So this will do. Doesn't matter if it's slightly over because it's only adding texture in. And these are healthy for you. That'll do. What I'll do is I'll get them bashed up and then I can add them in because they're quite chunky. Also, just to mention now would be a great time to preheat your oven. So it's going to take another 5 to 10 minutes to prep everything. So you'll be wanting your oven set at 180. This will be a fan 160 and gas 4, depending what you use, and also get your pan that you're going to be using grease and lined as well, so it doesn't stick to that. You're going to get something that looks a little bit like this, so that's a lot better than what we had, to get that in there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure out my plain flour and my baking powder. As I said, it does call for 250 self-raising, but if the only thing you've got is plain, then we can go with that and sort that out. So that is your 250 plain flour, so let's get that in there, out of the way. And then what we're going to need now is we're going to need about 6 teaspoons of baking powder. So if you're just using self-raising, you'll need 2, but because I'm making my own self-raising flour, this is what you'll need. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. See if I can get the last bit at the bottom. 6. So that's that one. Last thing we need to add is some vanilla, which I forgot to mention at the beginning, but we'll add that now. So I'd probably say with your vanilla do 1/4 teaspoon, because most of your vanilla is going to go into your icing later, which we're going to make while this is baking. Let's get that in. Right, so the next thing to do is to get that all mixed up, and then we can get it in our pan. Let's get this all mixed up, shall we? So at the minute it's quite a soft mixture, which I'm actually quite surprised about. I thought it'd be a lot tougher than what it is. Saying that, it's just got a lot tougher. So let's get this all incorporated, and then what we can do is we can get it in the cake tin and get them in the oven, and then that should bake for, it says, I would probably say anywhere between 40 minutes and an hour, but do the skewer test. So if you poke a skewer in there and it comes out clean, then that means your cake's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this mixed, and then we can get it poured in there. So as if by magic, he's all here, my little cake tin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get him poured in now. Obviously make sure, as I said, he's all lined and all greased, otherwise it will tend to stick, and that's not what you want, because you don't want to end up making cake pops. I mean, don't get me wrong, cake pops are cool and everything, but the whole point is we want a cake. So let's get that in and get the scraper in. So the cake's all in the pan, so that's going to go in the oven in a minute, and my lovely clean bowl. You couldn't have done better if you was licking it. So we'll get that in the oven. Also, just to make a note as well, make sure it is in the middle of the oven, because this is where the oven will have the most heat. And please do not open the oven door for a good 15-20 minutes after it's been in, because this is when the cake will do most of the rising. So leave it as long as you can before you think it is done. So what you're going to need for the icing is cream cheese, icing sugar, some butter, vanilla and some walnuts. What I'll do is I'll measure everything out and we'll tell you the measurements and we'll mix it together. So this all together is 250 grams of icing sugar, so we can get that in the bowl. This here is 50 grams of butter, so that can go in the bowl as well. That's 175 grams of cream cheese, so we can get that in the bowl as well. Get that all scraped out. There we go. And then you're going to need just a few drops of vanilla. I know that's more than a few drops, but as I said in my previous video, I love vanilla. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a mix up and show you guys next. So as you can see, after a bit of mixing, it's become all nice and pliable. So that is quite runny at the minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it in the fridge until the cake comes out the oven. And then what we can do is then we can check on it and just see how stiff it is. If needs be, then we can always take it out, let it soften back up again. If not, we can keep it in there for a while. So the cake has literally just come out the oven, it's just done. You can notice that there is a dip in the middle of the cake, but that's because I did have to take the cake out to put some foil over because it was browning a little bit too quick. But yeah, well, that can get covered with frosting anyway, so shh, it can all get covered. So this is the cake now out the cake mould. It is still a little bit warm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it out to cool and then we're going to end up icing it tomorrow. It's too late now and plus I need sleep. So what we'll do is we'll come back in the morning once it's iced and we can give it a slice. So I've let the icing and the cake set overnight and this is what I've been left to. So it's still quite runny. I mean, you can use that if you want a runnier icing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more icing sugar in there and get that a bit thicker. So at least then I can spread it on and then we can get topping it. So there we are, guys. I've managed to get it a little bit thicker. To be fair, it's probably took another 500 grams of icing sugar to get to this stage. But I mean, it's up to you if you want, as I said, a runnier icing or if you want a thicker icing like I do. But next step is to get it all iced. So now this is the fun bit of getting to ice the cake. So we get to pop the icing on, and if there is some left then you can eat that, depending, obviously. Depends how much you want to put on the cake. To be fair, I'm going to have a lot of icing left, so I might end up freezing it or using it for another project, or I don't know yet, to be fair. But you can put as much or as little icing on this cake as you want. So we'll go a little bit more. Then what I'll do is I'll come back once I've put this on and we can then put the walnuts on top and then we should all be good then. So now it's time to place the walnuts. Now the cake is all fully iced, which is fantastic. Let's get this going then, and then we can get them all cut up then. So if we do that one, that one, that one. Let's make sure the points face up, because you know my OCD and everything like that. Seven and 8. There we go. So that's your carrot cake all done, aka chubby bunny cake. So if you like this video, guys, go like, comment, subscribe, and next time I'll probably be filming on Saturday, to be fair. Probably be doing a couple of episodes for next week. But yeah, that's all me done for now, so see you later. Just to, as a little extra on the back of the video, this is the reveal of the cake from the inside. Now you can see it's nicely well cooked and it's all done there. So see you later. Bye.